So all right, so what we are covering right now is immutable object creation, right? So we know that strings are immutable object, that once string is created, its value cannot be changed. So a string object is immutable. So that's why there are mutable strings in Java, which is represented by string buffer and string builder, right? And it, out of these two, string buffer is not thread safe. Sorry, it is thread safe. String buffer is thread safe. That means if a single thread comes, then only a single thread will be able to edit the object at one point. So it is a thread safe, but because it is a thread safe, it will make threads come into a single manner. Then it will reduce the performance, right, of our system. So there is a string builder which is not thread safe, right? So any thread can come and execute that particular method, any methods of the string builder, right? Whether concat, append, right? Any method we can do. So the best choice that it is present right now for us to use, if you want to modify a string a lot of time, then it's a string builder, right? In current scenarios. And if we want a string to not to never be updated, then it's a string we should follow, right? And if you want our string to be thread safe in multi-thread environment, then the string buffer is the class to go for, right? If you want to edit also, but in a thread safe environment, and there is no issue with the performance, then we should go for a string buffer, right? Given that, now we want to we want to replicate the immutability of the string class, right? So string class is immutable. So what does it mean by immutable? Immutable simply means that whose values will not change with the time, right? So if I go over here, okay, my bad. Cool. So the thing is, if I create a string s1, right, equals to new string, right? So what will happen? That this string, if I created abc, now the value of abc will never be updated, right? It will be abc only. If I try to update the string using concatenate or some other methods, a new string will be created, but this string will never be updated, right? So update option is not available. So that's the immutability. So in string class is immutable. And what are the wrapper classes, right? Wrapper classes like integer, right? Integer is a wrapper class. Then float, all the data type that we have a class for them as well, right? Float is a wrapper class. Then we have double is a class. So all the primary data type, if we go and try to use it is as a class, then it's called wrapper class, right? It has been provided by Java only. So in integer you can see that integer class is there, right? So in float also you can see the float class. Okay, my bad, let me do this. Float class is there, right? And double class is also there. Let me remove this. Double class is also there, right? And it's just not like this is, these are the only things. Short class will also be there. You can just see public class is short, right? So even the boolean, we have a class for even boolean as well. So we can see that the boolean is there as well. Okay. So these are the wrapper classes, and all the wrapper classes are final. If we have created an object, then the value cannot be modified, right? If you want to update it, then the new object will be created, but the existing object will not be updated. So all the wrapper classes are immutable objects, right? A string is immutable, and all the wrapper classes are immutable. Cool. Wrapper classes are the classes that is provided by Java for the primitive data types. Alright, so let's go ahead. And so now what does it mean to make this particular class immutable? First thing, that if I set any name over here, right, this name if I set, it should not be updated. This also should not be updated. This also should not be updated, right? Right? So what is the thing that what are the concepts that we have learned till far, which can make sure these values won't change?
Can use that.
What are the concepts that we have seen so far that can make sure that there will be no, okay, let me just
Use of private.
runner, and inside the runner, let's create a student object, right? First, student equals to new student, right? And we know if I write the toString, then the values that I have provided will be updated over here, right? And let me provide the constructor as well for all three. The name, address, and roll number will be there, right? And instead of taking three things, just we are taking name and roll number, right? Other things will follow the same concept. Whether we have 2 or 10 variables, it will follow the same concept only, right? So let's say the name is Nikhila and the roll number is 1. Cool. So if I try to print the student, then the Nikhila and this is printed, right? So, but the thing is, if I add the getter, if I add the setter, right? And now what I can do, I can just do the student dot set name from Nikhila. I will call Nikhila updated. Nikhila updated, right? And if I try to print the Nikhila object again, then the name will be updated to Nikhila updated, right? I don't want it to be Nikhila updated, right? Because I'm trying to create it as a immutable object, right? So first thing for creating an immutable object is that we should remove the setters, right? If I remove the setters, then what will happen? If I try to execute the method again, then there will be no setters, right? It will throw an error. Set name is does not exist, right? So I cannot set it. Then what will happen? It will remain same, Nikhila only, right? One thing we have seen. Another thing is of private, right? But it is way too basic, so we have already added the private, right? We will never write any method without the private, right? Unless we want to make it public, right? Or put it public. Otherwise, all the methods will be private by default. Cool. So what are the other things? Can I still update these two things? Is there any way that I can update?
No, sir. Just you need to change the name Nikhila directly, but
Okay. So what if I say that new student, cool, new student, and new student extends student, cool, and this is no default constructor. Okay, we'll add the default constructor, cool. And now what I'll do now for this, I can create the user, right? Instead of student, normal student, let's end it. And I want to create now new student, right? New student equals to new student, right? New student, my bad, new student, right? This is new student, right? And let's add the same data, Nikhila and 1, right? And let's add toString over here as well. But the thing is, with toString it does not work in this way, so we won't be able to see the student data, right? Over here, let's see, nothing, right? We need to implement it because annotation don't go through the parents items, all right? So we are going to add the two strings on our own. Okay, and from parent we are not able to add from parent. Okay, okay. So let's do one thing, just toString method, let's create on our own. Okay, toString, and let's take the parent name, so it will be name. And okay, our methods are private, right? That's why we are not even able to see it, right? Okay, cool. But the thing is, we are not able to see those variables, right? But again, what I can do, I can just, methods can be overridden, right? Especially when they are private, we don't know whether it exists over there or not, right? So I can have these, okay, my bad. So I can have these same variables in my child class, right? Variables can also be overridden, right? And over here it's not getting overridden because the methods are private, isn't it? So, and now if I want to provide toString, and if I want to provide getter, and if I want to provide setter, so see what will happen. Now if I go back in my runner class, and over here we can see, if I try to run it, first of all the thing is our data will be printed, right? Okay, name equals to null. Why? Cause okay, I pass it to the super, and roll number is also 0. Cool. So instead of doing this, now I don't have to do this, I just can create my own data, right? I can create my own this thing. And also the toString is of mine only, right now. Constructor also is, it's of my, and I can call the super, right? So okay, super should be the very first column. And one problem over here, Nikhila and one. Why it's showing a problem? Name student. Acha, name one and roll number one. Okay, okay. No, this should be the name one, name, and roll number only. Cool. If I try to run it now, so I get this, right? New student is Nikhila and roll number, right? So what will happen if instead, because this is a child class, right? This is the child class new student, right? So that parent object can hold a child class, right? Right. And if I run this, still the Nikhila and name Nikhila and roll number is coming, right? Because I have overridden the toString method as well, and toString method is in the new student object as well, right?
Yes, sir.
So now what I can do student dot, and instead of doing this new student has been created, right? So and it's referring over here. So if I try to do student and I cannot change right now you can say that okay, only get name is there, set name is not there, right? So I cannot change the name of the Nikhila, right? But what I can do is I can typecast it again to the new student. Alright, new student, or typecasted student, typecasted student, and then what I can do, I can say student is there and please typecast it to the new student. Cool. And now I use typecast student equals to set name updated Nikhila, right? Again, if I try to print the student, now you will see earlier it was student, now it is updated Nikhila, right? And what object I am using? I am using object of student only, right? Student class. So student class I have updated, student class object is there, right? And I have updated the value of Nikhila, right? So what does it mean? If I allow the inheritance, then then another person can just override my class, and then it can override my variables, and then it can add the functions to set those variables. And because it is a child class now, so it can use my class which I try to make immutable, right? So it can make that particular class mutable, right? That thing we have just seen right now.
Yes.
So what we have seen by this, that we need to make sure that inheritance cannot be done, right? So what is the
Inheritance not be?
inheritance should not be allowed, right? For that particular class we wanted to override, because this thing, this the parent class can hold a child class object, this thing is happening right over here. So if I say okay, my class is fine, I don't want people to update, right? And then if I try to run it, then it will throw an error, right? Cannot inherit from a final class. So this student class, then I need to delete it because I cannot inherit, right? Again from where we have started, we are there only, right? Now we cannot change because we cannot inherit, right? But now the thing is, you are not providing setters. For examples, you are not providing, right now you have written the code, right? And later on some other person comes. So what changes we have made till now, right? So we have removed the setters, right? First thing we have done is made the variables private. Another thing that we have done is we have removed the setters. The third thing we have done is we have made the class final, right? 3 items. And now the other thing is that, let's say this class is the class that you have created, right? And you made sure that student is not updated, right? You didn't provide the setter for set name, right? Or set roll number, right? But let's say, for example, some new developer comes and he don't know the norms, right? And he says that okay, get name, right? Get name, and he will return the name. Cool. Okay, string, right? He will return the name, right? Great. So I can use it, right? I can use this thing and get name also. If I try to use this thing, result of get name. So get name, my bad. So object student dot get name, right? So if I'll do this thing, then get name is doing right. It is setting Nikhila, giving the result, and it is completely correct, right? It should have given the same thing. But let's take an example. The student, the developer, the new developer that joined the team is not a good developer, and he don't know that in the get name you should not update the name, right? And let's say that he updates the name over here. Name equals to updated Nikhila, right? Then what will happen? Your name will again be updated, right?
Yes.
So we need to make sure, even though it's private, there might be a chance, right? In real life scenarios, we cannot remove all the getters, right? We need to provide some getters. So, and we can remove the setters, that's cool, but we need to provide the getters, right? At least. So the thing is, this thing can happen, right? For a new developer which who comes. How would he know that this student class we try to make it as immutable, right? So what else you can do? You can make sure that this values are never updated, right? You can add final keyword. So till now what we have done. So now if I try to execute it, then it's again will give an error, right? Assign value final variable name. So now the getters won't be able to update the name, right? Again if I try to run it, now your name is again non-changeable, right? So what are the things that we have done? We made our class final, we made our variables final, and we made our variables private, and we remove the setters, right? These four things we have done till now, right? So is there
Yes,
are
sir.
another things that we can do?
To make a variable private, I mean unchangeable, immutable.
Come again?
To make any variable immutable, you are asking what can we do other than these?
Not a variable, to make a class immutable. What else
Yeah.
we can do? Is there is something that is lacking over here or not?
Final. This mostly everything is there. So this is the final.
Okay, the thing is, one thing is lacking, and let me show you the example. Let's say there is a teacher object, right? Let's say there is a teacher object also. Let's add only one string to a teacher class, right? Teacher name, right? And let's give two string to the teacher, right? So now what will happen? Now you can make your object final, right? You cannot make teacher object final first thing, even though you can make the teacher object final, right? So one thing that you need to know, teacher, right? When we make, okay, we need a constructor now for teacher as well. So when we make final a object, so what becomes non-changeable? The values inside the teacher becomes non-changeable, or the reference of the teacher becomes non-changeable?
The reference of the teacher.
Great, we have covered this, right? So the teacher class, it's not immutable, right? It's mutable because there is no final here, there is no final here.
Yes.
There might be setters over here, right? Or why might be, right? Let's add the setters and getters, all these things, right? We have added. Even add all our constructor as well. Cool. So these things, it's all there in teacher class, right? So now what I need to do, I need to pass a teacher as well, right? Let's see. Okay, the last thing is teacher, right? So the last thing is teacher. So teacher new and teacher, all right? And let's take Rahul is the teacher. Cool. Now if we try to print things, then you will see the teacher is Rahul, right? Teacher is Rahul, student Nikhila. So now we know that Nikhila cannot be changed, this roll number cannot be changed, right? This is for sure right now, what the changes we have done. But with this teacher, is there is a way for me to change the name of the teacher in the runner? Come again. Is there is a way for me to change the name of the teacher?
Public set.
It will be so
Yeah,
that,
yes,
right?
it's
Get
there.
teacher and then set name. Instead of Rahul, we'll say null. right? If I try to run this, then it becomes that, right? Because the getter you need to provide, right? And this object, this teacher object is not immutable, right? It's mutable. And you cannot dictate other people to create an immutable object, right? If someone wants to create a mutable object, then you cannot force him to, because you have to use that thing in your class, right? And the thing is, you need to make sure that it is final, because we want to lock a particular object that we are checking, right? We are seeing. So how we can tackle this?
Sorry, come again. To make.
How can we tackle this?
Okay.
So all the getters of object, right? Let's not spend time. All the getters. Okay, let's give me 1 minute. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So okay, we were doing something, right? Okay, we were okay. Yeah, cool. So see, I can change the student name, right? Oh, teacher name, right? So what's end up doing? There is a concept of shallow copy and deep copy.
Okay.
We will see it in okay. So let's, instead of doing this, let's first see how we can make sure that I'm not I won't make the teacher object of my teacher object change, right? Teacher clone teacher equals to new teacher, like, and then pass this teacher dot get name, right? This is the only thing, right? And then return this new teacher, clone teacher. This is not clone, by the way, right? So we are just updating, and even I can just return this, right? New teacher object I am returning, right? This, right? Return. Cool. So now if I run it, now you're okay. Okay. My bad. Get teacher, right? It's not a get. In this, which getter method? Okay, get teacher we are using, right? So we will use get teacher, right? Now if I try to run this, your teacher name is still Rahul, right? Why it is still Rahul? Because the reason is a new object has been written, right? When I am saying that get teacher, the new object has been written, not the same object that is created over here, right? We have used new keyword over here as well. We have used new keyword over here as well, right? So when there is a object, right? There is a object that exists. So we send a deep copy of the object, right? And what is a deep copy? We will see. There are clonings, right? There are two types of clone that exist in Java, right? So one is deep copy, and another one is shallow. One is called deep cloning, and the one is called shallow cloning. Have you heard of these two terms earlier?
No, sir. No.
Okay. So what happens? Let's say if you want to clone an object, right? If you want to clone an object, so what will happen? The normal values, a shallow, if this is a student object and I want to do a shallow cloning, what will happen? That I will set the values of these two objects, right? I will create the object of these two values, and these two values will have the same. I mean, okay, like if okay, let me tell you from the start, right? So first of all, there is a clone method, right? The substance object, So if we come here and try to search, there is a clone method, right? Visible. So
Yes.
right now, but if I try to clone, I could have just cloned the teacher, right? Instead of creating a new teacher, right? I could have just cloned the teacher, right? So the teacher return the teacher object and that clone, right? But the thing is, teacher object, I'm unable to access clone, right? Why is the reason I'm unable to access the clone? Okay, why I'm not able to do the cloning? While in the object class, we can see that there is a method clone. The reason is the method is protected, right? The protected method can be accessed only inside a class, right? So inside the class only I can use. So the clone method can be used inside the teacher only, right? Inside the teacher, if I have a method public and then teacher, TPACHER, and then clone, and then over here I can say this dot clone, right, and then return as well, right. Still I'm getting some except issue, right, clone, and then if I do the cloning, then I will get an object, right. So I have to typecast it as well, right, to the teacher object. Cool. But still I'm getting some error because it is throwing an exception, right. Why it is throwing an exception? Because in the object class we can see this method is throwing an exception, right. This we are going to cover in the exception handling. What is this, right? But this means, just for now, if throws and some other thing is added in the class method signature, then what happens that we need to handle the exception, right. So we will just add, okay, okay, even instead of doing this also, what we can do, we can sneaky throws. Cool. It's suppress the error, right. Now this thing I can access, right, directly clone. But this direct clone, what it do, it provides a shallow copy. In shallow copy and deep copy, we will see. Okay, you understand this concept, you understand, right, that over here if I want to change something, I need to make sure that if there is an object that I'm trying to send, right, these value, if I'm trying to send, that these values cannot be changed, right.
Yes.
String is immutable by default, right, and integer is not immutable, but I had made this final, right, so the value cannot
Yes.
be changed in future, right. But the object, whenever I create a reference variable final, then the value in the heap, it will point to the same heap area, right. So I cannot change it, right. I cannot do in the later on, I cannot do in the getter also, I cannot do the teacher equals to new teacher, right. New teacher and then any name, right, random. I cannot do this. The reason is, over here I will get this final, cannot assign the value of a variable teacher because it's final, right. So I cannot update, but the value inside the position or the location inside the RAM or the heap area can be changed, right. If I get hold of teacher object, I can change the value. That's what we have done in the runner, right. If I get hold of the teacher value, I can set the name, right, because its teacher object is mutable, not immutable. So that's why in the setters I provide a new object, completely different object, right. So this thing is clear, right, till now, that we have
Yes.
to, if there is some user defined objects, then we need to send them by deep cloning, right. Just know that this is deep cloning, right. And let's see what is immutability, what is cloning, shallow cloning and deep cloning. Let's create a package cloning in Java, right. Okay. And then there will be two sub package deep, okay, but it's way too, okay, let's keep deep cloning, and let's take another one, shallow cloning. Cool. So now let's take example of same student. Let's take, right, let's take student and teacher only. Student, let's take private string name, right, and write private string roll number. Now we are not trying to make this class immutable, right, we are just checking what is deep cloning and shallow cloning. So getter and setter and all are constructor, right, enough, and two string as well, right. Cool. Now let's create a teacher as well. So teacher object also we are trying to create, and private string name only we are adding, and then the setter, and then the getter, and then the all are constructor, right. These things we have added. Cool. So what I will do now is I will add teacher object and student class, right. Private and student, oh my god, teacher and teacher, right, teacher. And now what I will do, I will create a runner, right, and now what I will do is I will create a student object, student equals to new student, right, and over here there will be name, let's say Nikhila, and let's say 1, and let's say new and teacher, and then say Rahul, and then we'll sys out Nikhila as well. Okay, not Nikhila, we will sys out a student, and what's okay, integer full toString is already there. toString is should be here as well. Cool. Now if I am trying to run the student object, so this thing we are getting, right? Now what we can do, instead of okay, what we can do, now we need to see whether it's returning the same object or not, right? So let's do one thing. Let's remove the object of teacher, remove the toString. So now we will be able to make sure by looking at the hash, right? This hash we will be able to see that the object is same or not, right? So what I will do, I will try to deep clone it, right? So what I will do, if I want to clone the student object, right? I want to clone the student object. So let's just public the student and then clone, right? Clone I will do. Yeah. And there is a clone method already, so it will be overridden, right? Overridden. So what I will do, I will return clone, right? And then I will just make sure that it is transformed into student object, right? So see what will happen if I do the cloning, and if I'll try to sys out student.clone, right? If I try to run it, then one thing is that we will get an exception, right? And the stack flow, wait a minute, student.clone, we are just call student.clone, okay, and student.clone, why it is giving me stack overflow? It should not be an error of stack overflow. Main thread and teacher, okay, clone. There should be another exception, but not the stack overflow, right? Deep cloning, okay, am I running this thing only? Yes, then too I'm getting why line number 25 if I'm trying to clone it. Oh, my bad, I'm calling itself to itself, right? Super.clone I need to use, my bad. Okay, now there will be sneaky throws as well, right? Cool, now I'll try to run it. Now there will be another error, right? So class not supported exception, right? So if you want to operate this clone, if you want to use the clone method of object class, your class should implement clonable interface, right? This is the one thing. These are called marker interfaces. Marker interfaces are the interfaces which don't have any abstract methods, right? It's just there to provide some facilities or some capabilities to your class. So if I implement a clonable interface, right, it has no methods, so I'm not forced to implement any methods, right? Provide body of any method. But the thing is, if I implement a clonable, it provides my class the ability to get cloned by using the object class clone method, right? So now if I run it, so you will see it has returned the same object, right? The same object it has returned. See, the thing with the primitive data type is that these data are reserved in stack, right? So it cannot change, right? We have seen the stack module, right? So one stack, when we pass the data using a stack, so we pass, Java is passed by value or passed by reference. This is an interview question that I am asking, and we have already covered it. Is Java passed by value or passed by reference? Oh, this is the question you need to answer.
So, your voice I couldn't hear for past 30 seconds.
Okay, I'm saying, is it better now?
Yeah, now it's okay.
So I'm saying Java is a pass by value language or pass by reference.
For pass by reference.
Wrong answer. It's pass by value. We have covered this in earlier sessions. Okay, if the video is available, please go through it. If not, then
Yes.
we can discuss it later on. Okay, we
Okay.
can discuss this now as well. There is no issue. See, we have seen this method stack, right, in one of the sessions.
Hmm.
So we pass the value. We even whenever we are even passing the object, right, we are passing the object right over here. So what we save in this over
That
here,
is that is okay. Okay. I thought that that is value. The name I thought that is reference. I told pass by reference, no sir.
come again.
I told pass by reference. Java is a pass by reference value. I
No,
mean,
Java is passed by value.
so here a capital teacher. I mean, private teacher. Teacher. The first teacher is value. The second teacher is reference. No.
Pass by value. What is meant by pass by value or pass by reference? What does it mean? If I call if there is a method public void, let's say just m1, right? Let's say m1 only. So if I'm saying that okay, please give me integer some a value, right, and give me some teacher t, right, will it pass if from the runner class, and let's make it static as well, right, so that I will be able to call directly from the runner. If I'll use teacher dot m1 and if I'll pass 10, right, and if I'll pass new teacher, right, new teacher, and then give some name, right, test teacher, then let's understand the question first, right. What is pass by value and pass by reference? What does it mean? If I call a method, will the value will be passed or will the reference will be passed?
The value will be passed.
So it is passed by value then, right?
Yeah.
So why did you say that pass by reference? Even there is a twist that when you are when you are sending the data, right, then we are sending the data, we cannot send the data from stack, right, because stack will be deleted as soon as the method complete, right. So what's end up happening, if we are going to send the data of primitive data type, then we will pass by the value only, right. 10 will be passed. So and if I have a integer a equals to 10, right, and if I send a also as well over here, and in m1 if I update the a value to 20, and will the teacher a value updated or not? If I try to print the value of a over here, the value of a will be updated over here or
Up-
not?
yes, it will update it.
Nikhila, I think you have forgotten everything. Why will it get updated? See, this is in the stack of method m1, right? Main method stack it is present, right?
Yes, sir.
And then we have, I mean, just right now you said that okay, this is parts by value, right? So in m1 method, there will be another stack, right? The value will be passed, but it is a method of it. This a variable is of m1 method stack, right? So in m1 method stack, the value will be updated. Why the value will be updated over here?
Yes, sir.
See,
Sorry, my bad. Yeah.
heap area is different. In heap area, we share the object references only, right? Reference area. I mean, if something is in the heap, then it has some reference number, right? 1 2 3 4 5, for example. Then we share the 1 2 3 4 5, right? Then in the teacher, if in the teacher object I will update inside m1 method, if I update the teacher object, then okay, t, if I t and then set name, and I can guess okay, new test, right, test name. Then if I try to print the teacher over here again, sys out teacher, then what will happen? Will the teacher value updated or not? Okay, you haven't, okay, so this is entirely different stuff. So the thing is you are not, okay, you haven't practiced. One thing, let me show you, right, with the debugger mode. Let me show you one thing. If I am over here, right, the main method is there, right. Main method has a stack where a value has been 10, right. Stack is not shareable item, right. It will be deleted as soon as it gets ended. So this n primitive data type also does not, if I have a primitive data type and that to private variable, sorry, a local variable, then its value will be deleted and it will be stored in stack only, right. And if I call this method m1, let me just add the debugger over here, then what we can see in the m1 method right now, there is a value of a equals to 10, right? As soon as I execute this line, right, then it will update the value of a to 20, right? But it has updated the value in stack of m1, right, not in the main is still a equals to 10. We have also seen that if we enclose a method with a variable, then it's a highest level of encapsulation. This data cannot be accessed outside this method, right? We have covered this as well.
Yes.
In multiple ways we have covered this. I mean, this answer, you should have known this answer, because in multiple ways we have covered this. Try to join all the concept that we have already covered, right? Because in the oops concept also you could have seen that, okay, this is highest level of encapsulation, right? Method creation is the highest level of encapsulation. We cannot change the values. So okay, so this is the one thing. But what's with the teacher? Teacher is not stored in the stack, right? Teacher is stored in the object. So over here, the teacher is the object, right? 867 is the address. So in the m1 method, in the main method also, teacher that we are pointing is of 867 address, and in the m1 method also, teacher is the same object with 864, right? 864. And okay, new teacher. Have I sent a new teacher? Have I created new teacher? Wait. Okay, teacher. Okay, my bad. I haven't. Okay. New teacher I have created, right? So I don't even have the access of this teacher. Wait. Let me create this in new way. Okay, teacher, 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 teacher equals to me equals to this teacher, right? Now let me just pass in this teacher over here, right? Now we'll be able to see the correct data. So over here in the main method we have created a teacher, right, with 864. Cool. Now we will go inside the m1 method, right? In m1 method it's also 864, right? Because it's not in the stack. The object is created in the heap memory, and the reference is the thing that we share. This object has been created, right? We are not going to create the reference again. This object will not be created again. But the thing is, over here the 4 byte has been taken for this a value, right? Because it's an integer. In main method also, for main stack also 4 byte has been occupied, and for m1 method also 4 byte has been occupied, right? Because primary data cannot be shared while it is written inside a method, right?
Yes.
But the thing is, the object, teacher object is still same, right? Teacher at the rate 864, teacher at the rate 864, because it is stored in the heap area, right? Okay, just give me 1 second. Don't know this, but cool. We have covered this already as well, right? We have to take care of it again.
Yes.
We will cover this later on as well. For now, just you get some gist, right? Try to see the earlier videos. If not, then we'll cover this again, because this is most important item, right?
I could remember the things that we have covered, but I couldn't tell the answer because I didn't revise that after those classes actually. So
Okay, yes, but the
I
thing
will
is,
revise
we
those.
should, right? Because we already taking so much time, right? It's been 3 months,
Yeah.
and we are still on the first half of the course only, right? It's about to end, and today it won't be able to we won't be able to cover complete it, but in the next session we will cover it, right? So
Yeah,
we
okay.
are already going way too slow. So I'm expecting that you go through these sessions, right? At least.
Yeah.
So let's remove this for now, and we will cover this later on. If you are not able to cover it on your own, then we will cover it, because this is very important item, right? Okay, oops level item is there. So okay, so where were we? In the runner class. Okay, we can remove this for now, and we can remove this for now also, and this also, right? So let's try to run it again. What were we seeing? Okay, yeah, the teacher is same, right? Both for both the classes, if I'm cloning, right? So this data, this is a primitive data type, right?
Yes.
So primitive data type, if if I'm if they okay, wait, let me get a clone student object, and then not directly like this, right? So we will see how data has been changed, right? So student object will be there, student.
Your voice is breaking now also.
Okay, there might be a chance that due to the network issue it is happening.
Maybe my Wi-Fi. Yeah, yes. Because
you saying something, Nikhila? Are you there? Oh, I lost the connection. All right, so I restarted it again. So the thing is, what I have done over here, okay, let me run it again. So nothing new, just normal student was Nikhila and roll number 1, and the teacher is this, right? Both teachers are same, right? I have just stored it as a clone student, right? So if I operate on clone student, right? Clone student that set name, instead of Nikhila, if I make it Shamila, okay, then if I run it, then you will see that a Nikhila is there, right? Nikhila has not been changed, Shamila has been changed, right? Because the thing is, with the clone, with the shallow cloning, what happens? This is an example of shallow cloning. And the object class clonable object class clone method, object class clone method, this is an object class clone method, right? Object class clone method provides shallow cloning. I don't know whether it's written over here. See, shallow copy written, right? It provides
Yes.
shallow cloning. And what is shallow cloning? Shallow cloning means it is not a complete cloning. What it's doing, all the data, right? All the data which is not an object, right? Primitive class object, all the object it's skipping. Instead of it will share this object, the same reference of this object, right? We can see it over here, right? Both objects are same, right? But for the primitive data types, and by what I mean by primitive, all the wrapper classes or the primitive data types, right? Wrapper classes are just the classes which is the implementation of the class representation of primitive data types, right? So all the wrapper classes or and the string class, it will pass the value as different objects, right? It will share in the deep cloning, shallow cloning. I will write something which will make things better. In shallow cloning, what happens? In shallow cloning, a new object will be created. A new object will be created for name, right? A new object will be created for this, and a new object will be created for this. But for this, no new object will be created. No new, same object will be shared, right? But in the deep cloning, every parameter in deep cloning, every parameter will be cloned and different, right? Deep cloning means if an object has a nested object as well, then too it will be cloned, right? Like for example, if a teacher, if this example is of proper nested cloning, then the teacher will also have, if a teacher will also have a class, then it will also be cloned, right? So for now, for this particular class only, if I say that okay, I'm sharing a deep clone of it, what does it mean? Then it means that I'm sending the teacher also new, right? Over here, these all are treated as the direct variables, right, which are holding the data. This is a object. So whenever we use the shallow cloning, the objects are not, I mean, the user defined objects are not be cloned, right? It will be written the same data will be written. We can see it over here, right? And this string and roll number is differently has been shared. How can we get it? Because we have seen over here that we have updated the name of the student, clone student, then to our original student does not, value has not been updated, right? Now you can say okay, the student, the string is immutable, but it is, if it was a shared object or the same object, or if they were pointing to the same thing, then it would have been updated in student object as well, right? So, and even I can change the roll number as well, right? ABC. Okay, let's make it 10 instead of 1. If we run it, and you will see roll number here is still 1, right? In Nikhila, when over here it has not been changed. But the thing with the bad thing with the shallow cloning is that if I take the clone student and get the teacher and I set the name null, then for both of them will be updated, right? Okay, the value, I mean, both are same. Right now we are just looking at the object name values, right? So if I try to print the name of the student. Student get teacher and then get name, right? So it will be null, right?
Yes, sir.
Student value will also be updated when I updated the clone, when I updated the teacher name of clone object, right? So this is the difference between shallow cloning and deep cloning. In deep cloning, what we do, this is shallow cloning, right? And but if instead of shallow cloning, the same example, we'll take the same example, but we will just call student and cloned student equals to student dot deep clone, right? And now the deep clone, we need to write the deep clone method, right, or in the student. So this is the normal cloning, right? So for deep cloning, what we can do, we have the student object over here, right? So let's just, first of all, we can do the normal cloning, right? Shallow cloning we can do for now, and now then we can update the values of this thing, this teacher, right? One thing is this. Another thing that usually people tend to follow is they create a completely new object. So they will return new student, right? And string, and then name will be name, and the roll number will be roll number, and new teacher, and then teacher dot get name, right? This is called, okay, my bad, this is called
Super. Deep cloning.
deep cloning, right? So if I do the deep cloning, and if I return, see earlier what was happening, the same object reference I was getting, right, in shallow cloning. But in deep cloning, what I will get, different object, right? 5, 3 and 3 different object, and the student teacher name is still the Rahul, right? Nothing has been changed. So when, if I want to make an object immutable, there are few things that I need to make. One thing is I should make sure that my class is final, right? My variables are final, right? I don't provide any setters, right? And then my getters should return the deep cloned of the another object or the user defined object that has been in a class, okay?
Okay.
And what it's called, has a relationship, right? If a class has something, that it's a has a relationship, right? Remember, if car has a engine, right? So if a
Has
class,
in essence.
if we have any has a relationship, then we should return the deep cloning of it, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So this is the most important trivia question, right? A lot of people ask it. It's very commonly asked. And
Okay.
and let's check whatever we have done is string classes, this what we call it, immutable, right? Let's check whether string classes already done the same thing. Okay, final class, right? Final, right? And then let's get to the value, right? This is the value. This is also final, right?
Yes, sir.
So both they have created the final, and the getter. There's a get bytes, right? Get bytes. This is the bytes over here. If you check in the encode, return encode with the encoder, then over here you will see array dot copy of, right? See, they are returning the copy, not the exact value. So if you should try to go deep inside that, and then also you will say save trim, and also you will say the new copy of, right? So it is also doing the same thing. So how can we make a class immutable? How can we make a class immutable? First thing, the class should be final. If you don't make the class final, then other class can extend our parent class and then have the same name of variables and provide the getters and setter for that as well, right?
Yes.
So they can pass the parent reference variable, right? It can be passed as a parent reference variable. That thing that we have done in the strategy design pattern. So we should make sure that our class is immutable. Another thing, we should make the variables private, it's obvious, but to enhance the layer of encapsulation, otherwise we can just directly use dot operator with the object reference variable and update the variable values. But the private is not enough, because by some other method also the values can be updated, right? So we need to make the variables final as well, and we need to make sure that we don't provide any setters as well, right? And then all the has a relationship objects that we have should be returned as deep copy or deep cloned, right? Deep cloned object should be returned. So how many things are there? First thing, make class final. Second thing, don't provide getters. Third thing, make variable private. Fourth thing, make variable final. And fifth thing is make shallow deep cloning of all the user defined objects or for every has a relationship. Cool. So there are 5 things that we are going to say for the answer how we can make our object or user defined object immutable. Cool.
Yes.
Okay, let's end the session over.